So they've gone and done it again. The base rate's gone up 3% now, 0.75, as we all kind of expected. So yeah, by now you probably be seeing it all in the papers everywhere because this happened last week, and there's a lot of panic going to be going on. We had a few phone calls from clients, but let's take this back to a little bit of reality. Okay, so the base rate is now 3%. Seems pretty horrendous, doesn't it? But actually, it's not. If you look back, and we'll put it on the screen in a second. If you look back to 1975, the Bank of England have actually published the base rate every single month from 1975 on there at the moment, and we'll link to it in the bottom so you can actually see it yourself, so you can see that this is genuine. But we'll show it on the screen now. So if you go back to 1975, interest rates were double figures back then. I've got it here in front of me. Well, actually, in April 1975, as far as it goes back, the 21st of April 1975, the base rate was 9.75%. 9.75. Now that is a proper high interest rate. But then you work your way through. Let's pick a date. When was I born? November 1978. Let's do that one, shall we? November 1978. I know I don't look that old, but it's true. So November 1978. Actually, there was a raise then. So it's 12.5% was the Bank of England base rate. Pretty high then, double figures. And then all the way up to the sort of credit crunch time when we had 2008 crash, we were sitting around the 4 to 5% mark then. And then ever since that's kind of happened, that's when it's drastically come down. So if you look in sort of May 2007, we were at 5.5. Then January 2009, we were down to 1.5%. Ever since then, we had really, really low interest rates. From March 2020, we were at 0.1. So that was when COVID kicked in. So let's be a little bit more realistic in the fact that we think we got high interest rates now. This was actually nothing to what it was like. If we even just go back to 2008, we were looking at sort of 5%. So mentioned this in previous videos. I looked at some previous mortgage offers I had back then on some properties, and they were 5 to 6%. So it's pretty kind of normal.
Hi guys, a quick break from our episode just to let you know that we have released our mortgage course for free for a limited period of time. There is so much false information out there at the moment that is creating panic, stress and worry for everyone. We all know how difficult it is when you're trying to get your first mortgage or that new deal. Click on the link in the description below and get started and use our years of experience to help you through these troubled times.
So let's take that back. So when people were buying properties back then in the kind of 70s, 80s, 90s, actually the power of your borrowing wasn't quite as high, because now there's some lenders, I think 7 times income. Not that I'm convinced that really ever happened, but the general figure is somewhere between 4 and 5 times. That's where you can normally lend. But back then they were only lending sort of 2 to maybe 3 times income at very most. But we didn't really have car finance then. We didn't have mobile phone finance. We didn't have all this other finance out there. Okay. And we're all now claiming a massive cost of living crisis. But let's be realistic. We are spending more than we've ever spent. Everything is fast fashion, fast food. You can even get credit now, I think it's Klarna, to credit on Deliveroo or Uber Eats, one of the two, which is absolutely crazy. That's another video which I'm going to do shortly, which talks about that one. But that's a different level of crazy. You can actually get finance now to buy your Wagamama's takeaway. What has this world come to? You can actually get finance to take a Wagamama's. Absolutely bonkers. But let's go back to reality. So we're all talking about this cost of living crisis, but actually it's really a cost of lifestyle crisis. We are our worst own enemies. We are spending too much. We're being dragged in by social media to spend all this kind of money. If we weren't spending this money on fast fashion, fast food, and just general rubbish, we'd have more disposable income, and we'd be able to not worry so much about these interest rate rises, because let's kind of be a little bit realistic with it. So the base rate has gone up. And that's my kind of take on it, is the fact that, these are still extremely low interest rates. If you have a look, we put it on the screen and it showed exactly what it was looking like over the last sort of 40 years or so. Interest rates have always been high. So the average since 1975, I just did the calculation, 1975, the average interest rate is 9.2%. 9.2%, and we're running about 3%. I know we're in a slightly different world, but we just need to take a little bit of responsibility for this. But now, if you are looking and you are worried about your mortgage and you need to look at refinancing or remortgaging, now's the time to find a broker. Don't just try and do it online, because there's so much rubbish out there. There's so much nonsense you hear online about you should do this, you should do that. You need to consider all your options. You need to consider trackers, discounts, variable rate mortgages, along with fixed, short, medium, and long-term fixed. You need to look at it all, and you need to take that advice from a qualified broker. Okay, not some guy on TV who's got no qualifications whatsoever, who's telling everyone to do this and that. I know he does some good in some certain things. I'm not going to mention his name because I mention it far too much. But go and see someone who does it day in, day out. Take some professional advice. If you've got any questions, there's a link in the notes for how to contact us at Sanctuary Financial Planning, and we can help you with that as well if you can't find a broker local to you.